Hey, good Tuesday morning to you. I'm looking at Exodus chapter 14, beginning in verse 20. It is the conclusion of the 10 plagues of the death of all the firstborn, and now the nation of Israel is being released, being able to flee from the Egyptians to go to the promised land. Before they do the 40 years in the wilderness and all of that, this is the passage they are leaving out. They've all gathered up and they've left. And it says, so it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. Thus it was a cloud of darkness to the one and gave light by night to the other, so that the one did not come near the other all that night. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea into dry land, and the waters were divided. So the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on the dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went after them into the midst of the sea, all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. Now it came to pass in the morning's watch that the Lord looked down upon the army of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and cloud, and he troubled the army of the Egyptians. And he took off their chariot wheels so that they drove them with difficulty. And the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fights for them against the Egyptians. Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come back upon the Egyptians, on their chariots and on their horsemen. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and when the morning appeared, the sea returned to its full depth, with the Egyptians were fleeing into it. So the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. Then the waters returned and covered the chariots, the horsemen, and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. Not so much as one of them remained. This passage talks about death and life, a dividing line that was made by God himself, the pillar of cloud and fire that went between the two of them, and it stood between the two of them all the night. And that cloud gave light to God's children, but it caused darkness to the enemy, those who would oppose. And so this day I want you to know that God wants to provide light for you and a cloud of darkness for those who oppose you, that God wants to divide the sea and make a way for you. And yes, they may pursue you. It may appear that they're coming after you, but God is watching from heaven. And as he told Moses to stretch out his hand back over the way that he was, to flee, and he caused the waters to close over the enemy. I pray today that your enemy would be defeated. I pray today that you would recognize the victory as a gift from God, that he is the one who did the great work for the children of Israel, and he's the one who wants to do the great work for you. He just asks you to be obedient, to follow, to go where he calls you to, and to be able to be delivered, that you might come to worship him. I pray you have a great day. Know that you're loved. Know that the God who did this miracle is still doing miracles today and is still on your side. Know that you're loved. Know as always at Westview, we mean it when we say we're here for you. You have a great day, and God bless.